Okay boys, welcome back to another episode of Underground Intel. I'm coming to you here from an undisclosed location deep within the sewer to bring you this week's biggest gaming news. After months of speculation, Rockstar has officially announced Grand Theft Auto 6 an extended look. The presentation will premiere on August 27th, first on Netflix and then later that same day on Rockstar's official YouTube and website. But this announcement, it raises a few questions. Why now? Why Netflix? And what should players realistically expect? Timing is everything. GTA 6 releases on November 19th, and Rockstar's entering its final stretch of its marketing campaign. Up until now, the focus has been on building anticipation. Trailer 1 introduced the world, Trailer 2 introduced Lucia and Jason, but once pre-orders are live, the next step is convincing people to spend their money. So that's where a deeper presentation makes sense. And this might be the biggest surprise. Instead of releasing only on Rockstar's channel, Netflix gets it first, about 6 hours earlier than the public YouTube release. At first, it seems strange, but there's a few reasons it actually makes sense. Netflix has been expanding into gaming for years. They previously partnered with Rockstar to bring Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the definitive edition, to Netflix games on mobile. For Rockstar, this partnership puts GTA 6 in front of millions of Netflix subscribers who may not normally follow gaming news. And for Netflix, attaching its name to the biggest entertainment release of this year is a promotional win. And this is where expectations need to stay realistic. Rockstar didn't call it Trailer 3, they called it an extended look, and the wording is important. My guess is we'll see something closer to what Rockstar did with Red Dead Redemption 2. Longer gameplay sequences, a deeper look at Jason and Lucia, more information about Leonida, a breakdown of features and mechanics, and maybe a few surprises hidden in between. If you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the marketing campaign starts to make a lot of sense. Every major announcement is getting players one step closer to November. And at this point, Rockstar doesn't need to convince people that GTA 6 exists. It needs to keep the conversation going without revealing too much. Personally, I think this is less about revealing new information. It's more about reassuring players that GTA 6 is ready. We're close enough to the launch that Rockstar wants people to see what they'll actually be playing in a few months. If that's what the presentation delivers, then this could be one of the most important marketing dumps before release. So what do you think? Do you think this extended look will include Trailer 3? Or do you think Rockstar's saving one last surprise before release? Let me know down in the comments. Well, one of the biggest companies in gaming just disappeared from the stock market. Electronic Arts, the company behind Battlefield, Madden, EA Sports, Apex Legends, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, and The Sims, well, it officially became a private company now. A $55 billion acquisition led by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund has now closed. But here's what everyone is asking. Is this actually good for gamers? Or does this give one of gaming's biggest publishers more incentive to just chase profits? Let's go ahead and break down what this could mean. This is probably one of the biggest arguments in favor of the deal. When a company is publicly traded, executives spend a tremendous amount of time answering to shareholders. Every 3 months, they report earnings. Investors ask difficult questions. Analysts compare every quarter to the last. Miss expectations, and that stock could lose billions of dollars overnight. And that pressure, it influences decisions. Games may be rushed to meet financial deadlines. Studios can be judged based on quarterly performances rather than their long-term potential. And projects that won't make money for 5 or 6 years, they become harder to justify. Now, EA doesn't have that pressure anymore. No quarterly earnings calls. No daily stock price reacting to every little announcement. No activist investors demanding immediate returns. And in theory, this gives EA room to think longer term. Maybe Battlefield gets another year in development. Maybe BioWare gets time to finish Mass Effect. Or maybe a risky new IP actually gets approved. But that's only one side of the argument. This wasn't a charity. Somebody spent $55 billion, and investment firms don't spend that kind of money just to break even. They expect growth, they expect returns, and eventually, they expect profits. So while quarterly earnings reports disappear, the pressure to make money doesn't. it just comes from different people. Private ownership can absolutely allow long-term thinking, but it can also allow aggressive restructuring. We've seen private equity firms in other industries cut costs, sell assets, reduce staff, or focus heavily on their most profitable products. Whether that happens remains to be seen. But gamers shouldn't automatically assume that private means better. So what happens to EA's biggest franchises? I think that's where most gamers are paying attention right now. Well, let's go franchise by franchise. Battlefield desperately needs a win. The next one isn't just another sequel. It's arguably EA's last chance to prove that they still belong in the same conversation as other games in the genre. The Sims has quietly become one of EA's most profitable franchises. Expansion packs, kits, downloadable content, a constant stream of reoccurring revenue. That makes it incredibly valuable under almost any ownership structure. Sports games are the definition of predictable income. Millions of annual players, ultimate teams, reoccurring spending, exclusive licenses. If you were looking for reliable profits, well, then these would be your crown jewels. And then there's BioWare RPGs. Dragon Age has had a rough road. Mass Effect is still trying to rebuild after Andromeda. These are beloved franchises, but they're expensive and they take years to develop, and they don't generate yearly income like sports games do. Does private ownership give BioWare more patience or less? And that's really the question, whether this deal encourages creativity or encourages doubling down on already proven moneymakers. And here's the biggest part of the story so far. Think about what's happened over the last decade. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. Sony's been acquiring studios all over the place. Embracer tried rapidly buying developers before restructuring. Tencent owns stakes all across the industry. And now, one of the largest companies in the gaming industry has just went off the public market entirely. The people making decisions in gaming these days aren't just developers. It's global investment funds, private equity, and sovereign wealth funds. This is probably the most debated part of the story. Saudi Arabia's private investment fund isn't just another investment company. It's a sovereign wealth fund. That means it's owned by the Saudi government, and it invests national wealth into industries all around the world. And gaming, well, it's become one of their biggest priorities over the last few years. The fund already held investments across multiple gaming companies before this acquisition, and this deal dramatically increases its influence in the industry. Supporters argue this brings massive capital into gaming, funding growth and long-term investments. Critics argue it raises questions over how much a government-backed investor can eventually have over the entertainment industry. But it's not like the company Tencent is any different. It's owned by the CCP after all. Right now, there's no evidence that gamers will see an immediate change to the content of EA's games or the day-to-day development because of the ownership change. But it's a development in the industry that many people will be watching closely. So where do I land? I don't think anybody can honestly say that this will automatically be a good thing or that it'll automatically be a bad thing. What we do know is that one of gaming's biggest publishers now answers to a new group of owners. Whether that means better games, more innovation, or different financial priorities is something we'll have to judge over the next several years. But one thing is certain, the business of gaming continues to change, and this may be remembered as one of the biggest turning points we've seen in decades. Let me know down in the comments, do you think private ownership will give EA the freedom to make better games? Or do you think the pressure for profits simply changed hands? Okay boys, so for our next story, we're going to be talking about the cancellation of Midnight Club 5. Rockstar Games hasn't released another Midnight Club game in over 2 decades, and fans have been asking the same question ever since. What happened? Well, this week we finally got one of the clearest answers we've heard from one of the people who was actually there. Former Rockstar senior designer Chris Roberts recently revealed that Midnight Club 5 was in development after Midnight Club Los Angeles. According to Roberts, there wasn't just one reason. Instead, several issues came together. And the first was development problems. Roberts said that Rockstar San Diego missed multiple deadlines during the development of Midnight Club Los Angeles. Before digital distribution became the norm, missing release dates was extremely expensive for publishers. And that created tension between the Rockstar's headquarters in New York and the San Diego studio. But deadlines wasn't the whole story. Roberts also described what he called a non-trivial conflict over creative control between Rockstar New York and the Midnight Club team. He said that the San Diego developers believed that they had built a world-class racing franchise, but they felt it never received the same respect internally as Rockstar's biggest series. And that perhaps brings us to the biggest reason. According to Roberts, Midnight Club was always compared to Grand Theft Auto. He even said the attitude from New York was basically, "You're not GTA." Roberts claimed that internal data showed that Midnight Club players stayed with the game longer than competing racing games like Need for Speed and Burnout. But because it wasn't GTA, it never became one of Rockstar's priorities. And from that point forward, Rockstar largely focused its resources into Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto. Looking back, it's hard to argue that Rockstar made the wrong business decision. GTA became one of the biggest entertainment franchises in history. It's a reminder that even a successful franchise can disappear, not because it failed, but because another franchise became so successful that it consumed all of a studio's resources. Look at Destiny 2 with Marathon. Midnight Club didn't necessarily lose to Need for Speed. It may have lost to Grand Theft Auto in the end. Let me know in the comments, do you think Rockstar should still bring back Midnight Club? Or do you think they should do a completely new IP after GTA 6? Oh shit, boys. Looks like we got another transmission coming to us here in the sewer. Okay, next up, we're gonna get into a little GTA 6 story speculation. And this one comes to us from the GTA forums on the GTA 6 story speculation page. Okay boys, so we got this one. I took a crack at the first mission. Jason on his last mission while deployed overseas, either getting injured and getting a Purple Heart or discharged due to insubordination, refusing to kill someone. He applies to be the Vice PD but flunks on training because of the same PTSD that led to being discharged. He then falls in with a local shark he knew since he was a youth. Cal hooked him up with. Lucia getting caught with her boyfriend abandoning her during the first robbery in Liberty City, followed by him being caught and killed, with the cops believing the robbery was his doing. She's released, disowned by her mom for a life of crime, only to attempt to rob another fine establishment, which Jason so happens to be collecting checks from. Jason and her try to both escape the cops. Jason gets away because the cops know him, don't suspect him of doing anything. Lucia gets nabbed because she's a Latina, and the cops have a certain perspective in Vice City. Alright, it's being a very funny situation because you have Brian's extortion and Lucia's robbery colliding with one another. Lucia, now in Leonida jail, gets into a dust-up with another inmate, which lands her in front of Stephanie, the prison psychologist, who asks her why she's there. Recounting being associated in 2 robberies now, Lucia going bad luck, I guess. She do some incredibly lame trash picking up on highways and other community service until she stumbles on Jason again. She sees an opportunity to live a good life. She decides she needs some money and teams up with him to hit a restaurant or a Waffle House or something, cuts her ankle tag off, and goes out clubbing. At first they're perfectly fine, but say Vice City, baby, gets their face onto the internet and now the law is after them. They have to lay low somehow, only for the law to break down the door. It's kind of a wild one. How crazy does that sound? Yeah, sounds a little crazy to me, but and people are speculating. Oh, looks like we got another transmission coming to us here in the sewer. Okay boys, and now it's time for the Sewer Scroll, where we check out a couple of the funniest things I've seen in the gaming community this week. Okay boys, this one's gonna be a little quick this week because we're already running pretty long here, but first up we got this meme. Where the fuck is my cursor? What? How many screens does he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got like 16 screens there. What? That cursor is straight up lost in the back rooms. Oh my goodness. How do you even find the cursor? Okay, and next up, we got this meme. Me playing video games at work, my boss on the enemy team. I've been there before, actually. All of a sudden, I'm playing against one of my coworkers. I'm like, wait a second, he's playing too? Well, that's gonna do it for this week's episode of Underground Intel. Let me know down in the comments, do you think EA going private is good for gamers? Also, what do you think about this whole Rockstar Netflix trailer debacle? And if you enjoyed today's episode, hit the like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next Underground Intel or the next investigation. Until next time, stay based, boys.